Welcome to this week's edition of the Bro Show Live. The 420 episode is upon us. We also have featuring a very special guest, a fan favorite, Mr. Fregrowli. So I'm here, Skilbo 1. The panel is here. Happy 420 Eve, everybody. Let's have a great show.
Happy 420 Eve. We're really excited to have Fregrowli here, of course. We'll have to talk to him about his 20 days of 420. I think that's what he's called it, what he's doing. So maybe we're at the tail end of that and rounding that out. We'll have to talk about that. Thank you for joining us, Fregrowli, Eagle, Red, Abolish, Spartan, and of course, Scobo, chat. We really appreciate you guys being here. Episode 40. We've almost been at the live show for a year now, and we are coming up on the year anniversary of the Bro Show podcast. So we're going to be doing some year anniversary stuff related to that soon. So look out for that. As well as the late sesh tomorrow. Scobo, Red, do you guys want to talk about that? They're going to do the late sesh live for 420. Then we'll do intros.
Well, we are going to be going live in our usual time slot of 11 p.m. Eastern time, and it is the late sesh. Come one, come all, come through. Bring your sack, whatever it's going to be. Let's have a nice smoke sesh and a great way to close out the 420 together in this community.
Yeah, the last hour of 420. It's going to be fantastic.
Can't wait to see it. You guys are always smoking a lot. I'm sure we'll smoke a lot in this show, so let's get to it. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Eagle, you're going to go first. You're the first one.
Hi, I'm Eagle Gardens 1, and I'm happy to be here with you guys this week. I'm having audio troubles right now. I'm only hearing about every other word you're saying. Great way to start this Sunday night. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks.
Hey, you figured out I was talking to you, so great job on that. Red, welcome, dude. Where can everyone find you, Red?
Hey, what's going on? Red Setter Farm. You can find me on Instagram and here on YouTube at Red Setter Farm, and also on the Late Sesh and on the Frugal Force. So cheers, everybody. I'm excited to roll something up, and we only got a couple hours left until 420, so rock and roll.
I'm glad we got Eagle's intro out of the way because he's already dipped out trying to fix his connection. Spartan, what's up? Where can everyone find you, homie?
What's up, man? Dan, I just took this. I've been trimming all day. I've been trimming the blue cough. I just got it done on the other show. But so I was smoking the scissor hash. I got a whole bowl of just straight up scissor hash. So that's fucking awesome. What was the question? Oh, you can find me on Instagram, Spartan Grown, or you can find me at work on Instagram at Mint Canico.
What's your name, sir? What day is it?
Hey, before we go any further, he showed some beautiful pictures in the chat of that gigantic top nug this morning, brother. That was impressive.
Thank you for joining us, Spartan. We always appreciate you. Abolished. We didn't do you. We have to.
Let's say you almost forgot about me. You always got to do me.
I didn't forget you. I know how much of a diva you would be about it.
Abolish Farms. You can find me on IG and wherever you see MBGS Production. And I want to say happy, the night before we get really baked day.
Happy Bicycle Day. Red would be happy to talk about Bicycle Day. Maybe we can get into it a little bit.
Happy Bicycle Day.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Safe travels to anybody out there.
Then welcome to Fregrowli. Look at his cups behind him. Everybody's heard of him. We've all tried his stuff. He's been here before.
Double cup Fregrowli.
Is that a good intro for Fregrowli? Look at the cups.
I like you can just call me 2 cups, 1 Fregrowli.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram. I appreciate you guys having me on again, especially for a little 420 Eve. And you guys are gonna have to inform me on this bicycle ride bicycle day, because I actually took a bike ride with my wife earlier, and my quads are killing me right now.
I bet Red knows the story of Bicycle Day.
Albert Hoffman, 1941.
Put on the spot. I think 41.
I think
42,
you're right.
39. I'm pretty sure got put on the shelf. So, anyways, at one part of the world, scientists were discovering how to split atoms. At another part of the world, scientists were discovering how to change consciousness. And Bicycle Day is basically the day that Swiss scientist Albert Hoffman accidentally dosed himself with LSD for the very first time. So
That was just through
to celebrate psychedelics on this day.
I want to hear about that bicycle ride. How did that go?
Supposedly it was through like transmission through skin,
Mhm.
but some also believe that he may have touched his eye. He may have touched a mucous membrane.
Could have
A
been
lot of people
like
aren't
200 micrograms too.
Say like
Substantial.
500. Yeah, somewhere between
Substantial.
3 and 5, a very substantial amount. Yeah.
Red, we're telling on ourselves. We got to keep moving down the show. Baby, come back.
But yeah, happy Bicycle Day, everybody. Cheers.
Happy Bicycle Day. I'll try to stay a little bit of on topic. Whatever the topic happens to be, who knows? Welcome, Fregrowli. What are you doing for your wrapping up your 20 days of 420?
So I thought about coming up with some sort of like Fregrowli challenge, and I seriously still can't remember the movie. It's like Beer Fest or maybe like Superbad or like one of those movies, you know, those like comedy movies from like the early 2000s or whatever time frame it was. And they have the strikeout, but it's like a drinking thing where you like take a shot, or I think you like take a hit of weed, then like drink a shot, chug a beer, and then exhale. I kind of do something like that, but with like, you know, like a dab rig and like a bong rip and like an
I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now.
It's only the 19th day though, you know.
That is from Superbad, and that basically summed up my early 20s right there. That
Right.
Oh, you know how we could finish it?
For a good night is one strikeout.
We could finish that with the abolished Terp Kool-Aid, man. That you got to slam that at the end.
Ooh.
You got to munch a Spartan cookie, and you got to take a Fregrowli dab.
Let's see. I can do a dab of some live rosin. I can do a bong hit, and I can eat an edible at the same time.
So that's what I'm saying. I think that's what we're gonna do at 420 tomorrow. And I am gonna live stream. I think probably just for like a half hour or so. We'll see, but probably start around 4 o'clock Eastern time, and then kind of just get into that 420. I'm gonna try to do it on both Instagram and YouTube simultaneously. We'll see. Just because that's where I've been posting these 20 days of 420 on both. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You know, I've done the 12 days of Wake and Bake in the past, and it's kind of a challenge just getting like, 12 videos in 12 days in a row kind of thing, even if they're only a few minutes long. But just coming up with content was challenging, especially because I'm not one to go to dispensaries. And I've made a couple visits to dispensaries just to get enough product for this. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, because you want to have a variety for every different day. So that doesn't help with what you're trying to do either. It's hard to have that many different products on hand.
Right. And I don't want to just do like 20 of my own dabs either. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of gets boring after a while too. So I was glad I kind of dug out a couple different rigs and, found a few different edibles and stuff like that. So
I just got to call that blasphemy out, man.
Say,
You
I'll
can't
do
get tired
20
of
of your
doing
dabs.
Fregrowli dabs, brother.
You know what you got to do for
fair
growth?
enough.
Every time you mix something up, man, you should just do like a fucking little video, do a little shot of it, talk about what you did or how just talk about the strain, what the terps are.
Man. The
Do a
effects,
dab of
for
it.
sure.
It just, I know, it's not quite advertising, but that's about as close as you can get without them fucking with you. But I would be doing that if I were you.
You need to be doing
porn.
Like every time you make something, just be like, it could be a 5-minute video, just talk about the terps, do some, just put some video on it, and just say, you could probably even say, hey, it's going to be in Ann Arbor or something like that.
Think of Vader's taste buds back in the day.
Mhm.
Like,
Exactly.
I mean, you have so many flavors going on, brother, and I really think that would catch on with people, and definitely
I think it'd be
live
worth it.
vicariously through you.
Especially being short, because everybody's got a short attention span. So if you do something like, even if it was a minute, that might be too short, but what I mean?
That's like your Instagram level, right? But that's why I kind of discovered IGTV recently. That's why I was able to do it still on Instagram, having an over a 1-minute video. But I like the idea. I actually came across some recent playlists on my YouTube channel that I haven't, just even come across myself in a long, long time. And one of them was strain reviews that they had quite a few, plays on some of those, going back to like the kosher tangy and, even some extracts in there. So yeah, I think it would be fun to do something like that and just a very simple, like clean and quick presentation. And yeah, there's constantly flavors rolling and different consistencies and, terp levels and all that kind of stuff. So I did take, obviously quite a big break from YouTube, but I clearly 20 days in a row have been back. So I'm going to try to keep up the content. I doubt it'll be daily, but maybe on Instagram.
Definitely got to have time for the garden. That's starting to get a little bit bigger and demanding a little bit more time these days.
It's true. It's true. It's a one-man show too. You know what I mean? So soil to oil, kind of outdoor garden, got chickens and wife and kid and all that kind of stuff. So it's a never ending challenge, but it's what keeps me going, I guess.
Dude, that's why we're always so stoked when you stop by and join on one of these lives, man. It's a real treat for us. And I know that the people in the chat and people watching later on love it. So totally rock.
It's a good time slot, guys. I mean, it really is a good time slot. I assume it probably is for most working men, you know what I mean? But it's for you guys to be able to get on here too. I assume it's probably good for all you guys.
That's the best part of it.
Everyone has a life, right? And you got to start fairly late in the day to avoid everyone's life. All the important things that are more important than doing a show, of course, your family and your job and keeping yourself fed and all of that stuff.
And sometimes you're just beat by the end of it. Like, I'm actually kind of glad I went for that bike ride today. My legs might be sore, but I got a lot of fresh air and everything. And I'll be honest, I got up at 4:35 this morning. It's been a long one.
I'm always ready for bed before we record.
That's definitely the truth for him too. He's ready.
I just woke up from a nap. I did the same thing. I went for a nice little bicycle ride today in celebration. And I'll tell you what, man, the sunshine, I love it, but it wipes me out sometimes.
It was a pretty nice day here in Michigan. Much nicer than the snow we just had. How about that?
62. It was 62 today, I see. Yeah, it was snowing the fucking day before. So welcome to Michigan if you don't live here.
All right. I see all you guys smoking. I'm actually going to get into some edibles real quick.
I just did a bong rip and a dab at the same time, but no one in the chat noticed. And then I spilled Pepsi.
That means you got to do it again, bro. Nobody's saying, and there's no pics, no proof.
Oh, I'll do it again.
Live stream's rolling.
420 talents.
So I had about 150 milligrams of Fico earlier, and now this fucking bolus scissor has. I'm starting to feel something. Should be good. The smile's starting to creep up my face.
Yeah, the grins, man. While we're doing this, everybody that is smoking, or if anybody on the panel is rolling up, I am rolling up some Abolished OG right now. So shout out to Abolished Farms for sharing the cup with me. Anybody else wants to chime in, come on with it, man. It's all about 420. It's all about giving back and recognizing the cannabis community. So let's keep talking.
I got Abolished OG hanging in the dry room right now. I can't wait to get into that thing.
I just pulled a little something down this week too. I'll get into that in a second, but I am currently smoking some Flow Drive Sift on top of a little bit of Rosa Berry flower, a little bit of CBDs in that flower, and it's been a great go-to like all day. It's been wonderful. It's been keeping my mood elevated and my anxiety lowered. It's been a really, really awesome one. I have Grape Glee hanging right now, and it's got like this awesome like cherry or strawberry or licorice funk to it. It's more fruity than anything, but it's very berry, but it's frosty. It's not like your typical like when I think of berry, I think of like Granddaddy, or I think of something that's like not as potent or something. I think this is going to be really potent. I'm excited for it. Man, I really wish we could all smoke tomorrow. Holy cow. Well, I guess
we were talking about that in the chat earlier. I was like, I wish we could just meet up somewhere and do some social distancing thing where everybody brings a jar and a grinder and their fucking smoking apparatus, and you bring a jar to pass basically. So you do nothing. You don't smoke your shit, but you smoke everybody else's. So nobody's sharing a pipe, nobody's sharing the Uggs. So it's all good. But we're gonna have to do it virtually this year, guys. So we're gonna make the fucking best with what we have and be thankful for each other and the plant. And
I wish we could all smoke together, but this still gets me in a better mood every time we do it, you know, getting to see people and smoke.
That's why we do it.
What about one of those like hookahs with the multiple hose attachments, as long as you're 6 feet away and not blowing back into it?
Oh, that reminds me of the cannabis cup that we went to, where they had the hookah hooked up with that gigantic bucket, and they were putting those humongous pieces of shatter they were feeding them in. You guys remember that?
Yeah, so they had this. It was like as big as a coffee cup bucket with some very questionable looking wax, but they had a lot of it, and it was free dabs, and it had a bunch of hoses hooked off of this thing, and it was really impressive. And there was a ton of like reclaim in this rig. I was like, holy shit. they probably ran through like grams and grams and grams of wax, you know. And I couldn't imagine trying to keep that stuff clean. It was good. It was fun. All the cup experiences are great. Like standing in line to get Fregrowli dabs, so worth it. You're always talking to other people that are like, dude, how many of these have you done today? Like, oh, this is like my 4th time up here. You know, and it's like, yeah, hopefully they don't recognize me. It's like, that's what they're here for.
And I always think of the cocoa extracts when the one guy gets dabbed out and gets bounced out. Remember? That dude was funny as shit too.
Yeah, we always tell everybody to come back, especially, I mean, we try to show up with 2+ flavors, and it's nice when we do, you know, are able to bring like 4 or maybe even 5. And it's like, you got plenty of time, guys. Keep coming through. You know what I mean? Try them all.
You were always a sport to us because you're not even set up yet, and you've got the rig set up, warming up before you guys do anything else for your booth. Every time I see Fregrowli at the cup, that's the first thing that happens, guys. So that's how serious he is about it, because he knows if you try it, you're going to have to get some.
We walked up to his booth before they had banners up and did dabs before there was water in the rig, you know, and none of us even noticed because we were already high from this morning. It's so funny. It's like, oh shit, we got to put water in here.
Yeah, we're never prepared. Just never prepared in time. And actually, I do feel like at the August Cup, you know, after doing like 5 of them, we finally were prepared. And I think a big part of that is because we stayed downtown. You know what I mean? Got up early. We were actually packaging in the hotel room that Friday night because like we still like, you know, it's just like it's a tight ship, you know. So packaging in the hotel room, and you know, had one more to go, and finally got a few hours of sleep and just got up early, got all the coffee we could, and you know, made it work. It was a fun one though. And we 5.5 hours, we sold out, so it was a quick one too.
For sure. Let me take a second here and shout out Purple Thumb OG on the 420 donation. Thank you so much, brother. We know what spirit it's given in.
Also, shout out to Purple Thumb OG. He won a light. He won the brand new HLG on Friday. On
no shit.
Yeah, on the GML show. So it's like the DE replacement. So.
Oh yeah.
Congrats to him. Hopefully he's got tall ceilings.
Good to see that going to a Growski, of course.
Yep.
Welcome, Kate. We appreciate you.
Hi, sorry I'm late. Been building garden beds all weekend and been trying to document it on Instagram, but I was hugling and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of every layer. And I think I did like 2 and fucking forgot about it, but yeah, it's a super long day. I'm really tired and like kind of sunburned, which is fine by me because it means it's warm enough to get fucking sunburned.
Amen. That's the best thing is smoking outside. I can't wait to do that. I'm tired of being cooped up. I miss sitting at the picnic table. I miss sitting at the picnic table with people, but I guess I'll do it alone for a while.
Just bring the webcam out to the picnic table.
That's the good thing is that people are putting out so much content right now with the way things are. Shout out to Eagle Gardens and the Talking Shit with Eagle show, man. It's really good because there are so many people that are night owls, and there's so many different names that keep coming through his chats and stuff. And he's like building his own little network community, and it's great to see. And everybody in the chat that's been going over there, shout out to you as well.
Appreciate that, bro. I really do.
Yeah, man, I like those nice long episodes because like the other day, I think I was actually listening to, I think the first half was Fregrowli's interview and the back half was Skilbo hanging out. Both excellent chats, man. I was out there doing my my no-till beds. I was adding a couple hundred extra square feet to my garden and loving every minute of it, man. Nice show, Eagle. Congratulations on what you got going on, brother.
I really enjoy that.
I'm nervous. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Bob.
I do a lot of late night gaming, and it's pretty cool, you know, when I get done with that gaming to have something to watch while I'm smoking right before I go to bed. And that's your show every night now. Like, you guys are literally going at 3:30, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it's been perfect for me for the same reason.
I've had a bad thing where I keep waking up at like 3:40 in the morning and shit. And yeah, I'll like either be 5 minutes catching Eagle before he goes off, or I missed him by like 40 minutes. I'm like, damn. So I just start rewatching anyway and smoke a bowl.
I caught the tail end yesterday.
Doing a dab for Growli?
Out of a weed coma.
Let's get it.
Oh yeah, cheers everybody.
Dankman Dan, we're doing a dab.
I put more dry sift in my bowl and I switched it up from the flow. There's some throwback 2018 Apollo in here. So March of
Blast off,
2018.
man. Blast
Yeah,
off.
time to.
I'm pulling back. I got to pace myself. I'm rolling me a hashless doobie to start out with.
Yeah, the Eagle Marathon is just about to begin. Look at that big old knife with that. Now that's a dab.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm up like already for the marathon or if I should take another nap before jumping on it that 6 a.m. slot.
You'd
Nap.
think
Ooh.
40 episodes in, you'd think I'd be able to hold something up to the camera and know which way it was going to go.
Well, and not say things with your mic muted as well. I know. I got you, bro. You bust my ass for it. I bust yours. That's why we love each other.
Rip.
Spartan, you're so noisy today.
I haven't smoked that whole first show, man. I'm trying to catch up now. So I'm just sitting back here. I got that whole pipe of hash I already smashed, and now I'm into the flower now. I'm loving this stuff. I got 2 plants, each one filled up a jar. So this one was 117 grams, and then the other one was 132 grams. So that's not too damn bad for 2 plants out of a
That's
9-plant grow.
Yeah. You start thinking about the footprint under the light for sure.
Yeah, I start thinking of why didn't I grow all blue cough instead of just 2 of them.
You know, that's the one that you've talked up the most through the whole time. If we're going to call this the 420 episode, the 1 year kind of anniversary thing sort of this, is that has been the one thing that you have rocked the whole time and been proud of, right up there with the Spartan glue, man. So that's definitely a keeper if it comes around. And I know some people on the panel actually have that cut, right?
I had it, and then I lost it. I thought the same thing, though. The blue cough really yielded well from the plant size that it had. I didn't develop the plant as much as I wish I did, and that's why I asked for the cut again, because I know that it's something special for sure. The citro glue for me is that plant, the one that I'll finish the run and I always wish to be like, why did I only do one of these? Why didn't I do
That's what I thought too. I only had one and I wanted more than one. And I was surprised because the Spartan glue that I have growing is weird. It went in and it didn't stretch much the first week it was in there. But by that 3rd week, it did the exact same thing that the sour melon did. And it was funny because I was kind of in the chat, and Spartan and Abolish were talking about the sour melon this morning, about how it has that late shoot up in flower. And I'll be damned, to both of those, I didn't think they were going to hit the nets right. I really thought I miscalculated, but I'm so happy that everything has come through and I haven't had to really manhandle the plants too much and retuck things in the scrog. So it's great to grow something that somebody else is running before as a cut, because they can give you all that insight onto how the plant might react in your environment and some things that you can do so that you really get a good idea of what the plant can be like in your environment. So you find that keeper quicker.
It's definitely a new experience every time you run it, right? Or every time the plant sees a new room. And every person that you give a clone to and you're like, this is some really fire stuff, and then they get it and they're like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about or whatever. I think everybody's got a story like that if they've given a genetic to someone.
I was really excited. I am really excited for after the grow off is finished and everybody's got a chance to run that keeper cut at least once or twice, and then get together and maybe in session a couple runs later after everybody's got it dialed in and really see phenotypical differences between environments. I think it's really interesting. I love that kind of stuff. I think it's really interesting.
I want to shout out all the people that are in the grow off. You guys are doing a great job. You guys are putting up awesome pictures. And I really like the way that the plants are responding and bushing out. We even have some people that are getting ready to flip theirs to flower. So that's really going to be exciting to see which way those are going to go when they hit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind all of those guys, but their plants are looking really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty behind too. I'm hoping to actually try to get some seeds popped here. I still haven't done my vegetable seeds either. I'm really behind on everything, but I get that way just about every season. It's usually the end of April before I really get everything rock and rolling, including pheno hunts, but that's about normal for me. Big Jar Grows had a question. about maybe for all the first time growers, what's everyone's preferred method for trying out their first grow. Mine was in the ground, and I think that if I could do it again, I think I would still do my first plant probably in the ground again. I don't know if anybody else wants to run that with that one, but that's my answer.
I started in cocoa and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, so I can't blame the media. I blame me. And I cycled through DWC with, hydro with the buckets, and I went to using what I use Pro Mix and Sunshine 4, and I've used all kinds of things. And these days I have a no-till soil that I built myself in a bed.
My first grow, I grew in Pro Mix. I thought it was soil because I didn't know any better. Although I still used bottled nutrients because I thought that that's just what you did because somebody told me that. It was really weird and shitty, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I've learned a lot since then.
Hydro right out of the gate. It's funny because I pretty much thought the same thing for the first, I don't know how many years I was growing.
Well, what happens is somebody talks you into growing your own and says, you can totally fucking do this usually. So you end up doing whatever that dude or dudette, as it were, does. So you end up taking somebody else's bad habits and misunderstandings as gospel in the beginning until hopefully you fail hard enough that you go, okay, hold on. I failed hard enough that I know this isn't working for me, but I'm still determined enough that I'm going to try to figure out how to fix this rather than just throwing in the towel and turning off the lights for good. So we all have that metamorphosis if you're not lucky enough to have a really kick-ass mentor.
I remember when I first tried getting serious with it, and I would take a couple of like the vegetable mix ratios that I had learned. There wasn't a lot of cannabis content at the time, and it was like 1 part peat moss, 1 part like topsoil, 1 part perlite or compost or something like that. And you just mix it up, and that would be your basic potting mix blend. And I grew with that for a while, and what I would do is I would supplement with the basic home and garden store, blue liquid fertilizer. It was probably 1 step right next to Miracle Grow. You know what I mean? And I remember growing with that style at least 1 grow. That was probably my first plant, but I pulled it out of the ground and started hitting it with that stuff. But in the ground was my first one.
That was my first grow, was Miracle Grow and Miracle Grow products. I had that fancy little foam and spray. Burnt up a couple cones with that, but yeah. Unless you want,
high middle number. That's all you looked for on the shelf.
I finished, I got a harvest, but it definitely added the sparkler effect to it. That's for damn sure.
Sparklers, ooh.
That's a feature, not a side effect.
Not a selling point.
So I went all nerd about it. I probably looked into for at least a year before I even started anything. And from there, I decided I was doing, I started in cocoa and 5-gallon smart pots, I think. No, I don't remember. That might have been plastic. I can't remember. It was either smart pots or plastic pots. I can't remember. But they were 5-gallon. And my nutrients were salt-based nutrients. They're actual salts. They were dry. It was, the hell was it? I still have some. It's, what was it? I can't remember the line, but it's a dry Mendocino something. But anyway, it was it's like a 20-20-20 in veg, and then that had like your standard, like I think it was a 6-30-30 or something for flour, and you just mix inside. It was almost like using Jacks, I guess. And I did well. My first grow, I did really good. And I mean, that's why it got me addicted. That first grow, when you get anything, you're like, wow, what the hell? It just works like that.
Dude, I told myself if I could get 2 ounces on my first run, I would keep doing it. And I got like 2 ounces and like 1.5 grams, and I called it good. I was like, well, fuck it, I'm in. Okay, here we go.
Nailed it.
Dude, I remember thinking I was gonna get a ton, like pounds, and like I had a biomass there, but it ended up only weighing like an ounce if I grew it under CFL light.
Bingo.
Yeah, how can you remember that feeling the first time you weighed up after it dried? You're like, what happened?
I think I
knew
got almost an ounce on the first plant that I harvested outdoors. The second plant, I pulled it indoors when it was already massive. And I think I've told a few of you this story already, where I traded somebody a clone for a gymnasium light, an HPS, like very shoddy wired
Yeah, the late
gymnasium light.
sesh.
I think we talked about that one on the late sesh. Yeah. And I ended up getting close to a pound off this one plant. I was very impressed. And it was kind of my first legit indoor grow. And that's kind of what, sold me on it. But that first plant was just like a single stick, and it looked like a cob of corn on top. And I think I got about an ounce off that plant.
All right, who else wants to step out in the limelight and tell horror stories from their first grow?
Well, I have another question. What was the first seed that you ordered or whatever, bought at a cup? And what was the first seed that you popped as a grower?
I'll tell you my quick story. So I guess the reason I started growing is I bought a 1/4 ounce of, it was like the white or some offshoot of it. I don't think it was White Widow, but something like that. And it had 18 seeds in this bag. And I was all bummed out. I'm like, man, it's been a long time since I've gotten this many seeds in a bag of weed, I'm like, screw it. I knew about Microgrowery on Reddit. And so I kind of started searching around on there, did the whole like paper towel germination method, and all 18 of them germinated. I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing this, Went and bought solo cups. I think it was a bag of Fox Farm Ocean Forest, which I've seen a few people say in chat. It was common one. I was going to like the nursery, not the grow store. I was too nervous to go to the grow store. I thought there would just be cops waiting outside writing down license plate numbers. Well, got my big Fox Farm Ocean Forest. I think the other thing that I may have ordered on Amazon with all my equipment was the General Organics Go box. It's like a tiny box, it looks like a little 6-pack, like 6-7 different little bottles of nutrients. And I had a 2x4 by 5 foot tall tent, also ordered on Amazon, and a 600 watt HID cool tube for that small ass tent. And somehow on my first round, I crushed it. And it was like probably, I don't remember exactly, but it was like 6 to 8 ounces off this, I don't know how many plants made it through this full tent. And like enough to the point where I snipped off a full cola of it wet, because I still didn't even understand it at that point. Wet, brought it over to the guy who I got the weed from, and was like, hey dude, this is for you. Like, look what I did with those seeds, And from there, it just failed miserably on my second run because I got cocky probably. And then it was pretty much a learning process from there. And I think I hopped on YouTube not too long after that.
I think a lot of growers hit it their first time and then run into like spider mites their second time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, so that's what growing's really like. That's what everybody's complaining about.
Blue Dream seeds from Attitude Seed Bank, I think, were some of the first seeds I ordered though. And I know I got a couple of freebies in that, but I'd have to probably go back and look at videos or something. I remember Chocolope was another one of the ones I ordered early on, which I immediately fried because my fans and my little do-it-yourself incubator decided to, I don't know, burn out, turn off, and I just roasted all the seedlings.
I know the first ones I ordered were from Amsterdam. They came folded up in a little flag, Dutch flag, which I still have hanging in my room. And they were Afgooey, which was a terrible, terrible fucking strain, or at least it was for me. So I only grew up.
It couldn't have been you. It had to be the fucking strain, of course.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, it grew super, super leafy. One of the most leafiest strains I ever grew. And it was just okay. And I don't know. It was still the first thing I ever grew too, so I'm sure I was not doing it a whole lot of justice, but didn't keep her.
First thing that I ordered was from Seedsman, and it was like I tried to order Blueberry Headband. That was all I was trying to do. So then I was trying to come up with a decent order off of it, and got to run around, ended up getting seeds like 3 months later. They had to switch out like almost everything I had in my order. So they threw a bunch of freebie like Fems and autos and shit in. But what I ended up running first was Blue Cheese and the Church by Greenhouse Seeds.
I actually didn't buy any seeds really. I bought some cuts though in the beginning. Like I got Rare Dankness and Jedi Kush. I think those were the first. But the first seeds I ever popped was actually seeds that I pulled out of some really dank green crack, and I grew it out, and it grew for quite a few runs, and I called it I Am Groot, and I kept it. But it was the same story as my Amnesia Haze that I pulled out of a bud. After about 5 or 6 grows, I ran into a herm, so I stopped growing it. But I saved the seeds. The genetics are amazing now.
Everyone I ever knew that's grown Amnesia Haze has gotten a herm. Eventually.
My first seeds I popped out and grew were bag seed. And I actually had a male in my window for a really long time. Let that sucker flower out and just had it going. The females were outside and they weren't really flowering. So I just kind of held on to the male inside. I don't even think I got seeds either. So not too bad. But yeah, I eventually got rid of the male when it was getting really messy. And yeah, I knew I had to get rid of it. But I was like obsessed with wanting to grow hydro from almost the beginning. I didn't have any access to the nearest hydro store was in like Lansing or something like that. And I was like, I'm not going to Lansing to go to get hydro tin or anything like that. So I would do like the Home Depot style and whatever I could source locally. And then I know as soon as I was able to like go to a hydro store and really do it, I went with like, I ruined my plans. Totally ruined them because I was like, I know what I'm doing with hydro. I've been growing weed for so long in the dirt. Bad idea. But I enjoyed the hydro store.
But like, how many years was it before you guys felt comfortable just going to the grow store and grabbing stuff? Like, it was quite a while for me.
Oh yeah, dude.
2 runs.
It was a long time for me too, because I would watch those videos where they would talk about how to like safely go to the grocery store, like look for people sitting with their backs like facing and looking in their mirrors at you and stuff like that. Learn all the paranoia tips and tricks and make you more paranoid. Little Green Man videos and shit.
Oh yeah, man.
I
The
remember
old
Green
fucking
Man.
tinfoil. They got the infrared cameras.
Yeah, and you don't go in the aisle if somebody's standing there already. You got to wait for them to leave.
I got my
Oh,
my
man.
rooms are retrofitted with all infrared bubble wrap and everything on the outside layers and shit, just because of all the paranoia. Still haven't put it on the ceilings yet, so.
Remember that old YouTuber guy that always had a green head and stuff? That green dude?
Yeah, that's
Green
one
Man.
of the dudes I was
Yeah.
talking about, the Green
Yeah,
Man.
say I watched the fuck out of his videos, man.
Well, I wonder where those are from. Like what, 2000 or something like that? 2003? They're super old.
Yeah, they're pretty old, man.
Around that era, yeah. 304.
And then the Jorge ones with the when he used to wear the Rasta braids,
The Rasta,
Tam,
yeah.
Yeah, and the sunglasses and shit. Yeah, dude. Yeah, totally.
I got this theory that the Green Man was Eagle. That was his first account.
It may have been. Eagle's everywhere. He always tells you he's everywhere. He's the fucking Green Man now, baby.
That's why he goes by Eagle Gardens
That's
1
nice.
now.
Green Man 7.
Well played. Well placed, abolished. Well placed.
Kate,
I
what
used
did
to
you
watch
start
that shit
growing in?
too. I love.
I started
ahead.
growing. I had like a super different experience than you guys. I was like, one of my buddies was running like a 72 plant house, like a caregiver grow, you know, and he didn't want to do it anymore. And so I would go with him, and like I kind of had an idea of what was going on with it. But like at that point, I had like a legitimate career. I was like a social worker for the state. And I was like, I kind of want to quit my job. I quit my job working for the state, started working for a cannabis lawyer, and was like, yo, I could totally grow on the weekend. Like, if you want to be out, like, I'll take this shit over. And, you know, we had a deal. So, like, my first grow was like fucking 72 plants at a time. And it was like, you know, like fucking sink or swim. But so my first harvest was, I think, 13 and a half pounds. But it was interesting because I used somebody else's system that like I didn't fucking like and didn't make any sense to me. So basically we did Rockwell cubes into 4-inch Rockwell cubes set on top of a fucking 10-gallon thing of Pro Mix. And then like every Monday I fed like super high ppm Fox Farm, and every Friday I flushed until they like gurgled, and then I vacuumed up water and pumped it out, you know. So like it was fucking stupid. And the entire time I was like, dude, I can't tell why, but like some of these plants are different. You know what I mean? So like I was the dumbass going into like fucking hydro stores with like pockets full of leaves. Like, what does this mean? You know what I mean? Like the one time the dude's like, that's thrift, get them out. Like, you know, and so like it was a super good learning experience, but it was like very stressful in the sense that like I had all this shit and like some of my plants fucking looked different and I couldn't tell why. Well, so when I finally cut everything down and dude comes up and he's like, you know what? I don't think this is all Gorilla Glue, which is what it's supposed to be. And I was like, dude, I've been telling you that for like months. And he's like, yeah, I think we might have accidentally taken some forum cuts too. So like that's why they're different. Yeah, so I started doing all of it after it was legal for caregivers. So like my experience with hydro stores is like super friendly dudes that are really excited to give me whatever information I need. You know what I mean? Or like answer any questions that I have. So it's, you know, it's been a different world for me for sure.
The urban myth that we're going to pick up bugs at the girl store might have just been solved. That story might have came from a girl store that Kate went to.
She's a fucking Kate is Typhoid Mary of the grow stores, man. Everywhere she goes,
Absolutely.
it's a fucking trail of death.
Rubbed up leaf. What is this, you guys? Just shaking it around.
It's Aphid Kate instead of Typhoid Mary.
Well, you got to think that she's not the only person that can tell that story, though, right? So it has to happen in other stores and that type of thing. So it's worth worrying about.
Well, it is. And, you know, the whole point of all of us going through this and telling horror stories is for anybody that's listening out there is if you look at our pages and you like the way our grows go and all that good stuff, if you happen to catch up with us and you get in a smoke session, you really like it, realize that we came from, you know, the bottom to where we're at. And I'm not saying that we're at the top, but I'm saying that as a grower, it's because you've opened yourself up to information in this community and sharing information with people, which is basically what 420 is about. It's a big celebration of cannabis. And I'm going to say this until you guys get sick of me coming in, chiming every time tonight that I can make that point and keep pulling it back in. I'm going to keep doing it to keep making the point of the show. So keep rolling.
Where you started there is like, much like, you know, magazine people aren't real people. The plants that are like in the back aren't like real plants either. You know, you never get pictures of the plants that have like thrips on them or spider mites, or no one brags about their PM
powder donuts,
you know, or their herm plant or any of that stuff. You only see the good ones. So, you know, keep that in mind too when you're growing, that, you know, if you aren't measuring up to some person on Instagram, that you're only seeing their best version of everything that they have.
You haven't watched my channel lately, have you?
I was waiting to see if you'd take the bait.
Yeah, I just had
It's definitely a thing.
A reset a couple of weeks ago myself. It's a little embarrassing, but I mean, everybody goes through it.
So what happened, Abolished?
Oh man, you're gonna make me relive it? Well, I had some cuts that I was running in there, and I got them to, let's say, week 7, and then I spotted some thrips on the bottom, thanks to that camera technique that I was talking about. I think it was last night, and so I went in there, and I should have just let them go another 2 weeks and chopped them. I was just being way too paranoid, worried about, you know, getting some kind of virus or something in my OG or my sour melon. And I just took them out, froze them, you know, everything that was good on them, and just called it quits there, and then brought in literally thousands of mites per tent, complete overkill per tent, and pretty much cleaned it up. I've seen some residuals of them here and there the following few months, but as of right now, I'm not really seeing anything. Other than I've seen that my cucumaris that I put in there in the thousands are like dying off now. They've like ran out of food, or they're getting pushed out by the H miles or something. My H miles are violent. They don't let nothing in the soil.
I can see you standing over top of the pots, like cheering and laughing maniacally as you do like your best Mr. Burns thing.
The gladiators.
Yeah, just gladiator school, just scrapping it out. Wah, yes, my pretties, fight to the death.
I can't lie, I did enjoy that. When I was picking the thrip buds off the bottom and the leaf, I'd throw it on there and I'd watch my H mouse swarm it and attack them.
Well, speaking of shit swarming it, I tried that avocado tech, and I also did it with a red pepper that I had that was going. And so if you haven't checked out what that is or anything, you basically take the meat out of the avocado and you mix in, like I mixed in malted barley and kelp and alfalfa, and put it back in there. You flip it upside down. You provide a water source. So I buried it underneath my my water line that I have in the bed. Left it alone for 3 days, and I went back in and I carefully moved it back, and I just had so much worm activity, and everything is just like booming. Every day that I walk in, my plants are praying. I like my garden has never looked as good as it looks right now, and I'm just like totally stoked and happy. And again, let me make the point, it's because I opened myself up to try something new that I learned from another grower who decided to share his tech with other people. So cheers.
So do you attribute that to it adding more nutrients to the soil, or maybe it's because it's keeping your worm population and everything else up towards the top where your feeder roots are, so you're seeing
I'm more leaning towards the latter than the former. I feel like the more active that the worms are in your bed, the better aeration that you're going to get. Could be bro science. I don't know. You have to realize I'm just a grower and not a scientist. All I can say is that it's a combination of when I started doing that. If you'll go back and remember, I started using rice hulls first. We all got on the rice hulls kick and the silica breaks down. And then after that, I came through. I always use my malted barley flour. And then I got the straw. And then, you know, so with the sub irrigation watering, like everything is coming together. You just barely move the straw back. There's so much life. All of my cover crop is coming through, man. Like, it's so great to be able to try a completely different style of growing, and within 1 year's time get to the point where you're satisfied with like the end result. You're not going to sit on your laurels and stop there, but you're like, yes, this was an attainable goal. I got it within a year, man. This is awesome.
And it makes your life easier too. It's like an easier way to garden, you know.
That's so much less work. So much. I don't do shit, dude. I just go in and check it and like enjoy it. Remove a couple of leaves, those get put on top, those get ate by the happy worms. It's all just one big happy cycle, man, in the Skillboat garden.
Well, you spend a lot more time just looking at the plants too, which is a big deal when it comes to like spotting things that are wrong with them.
But when everything's working, your plants are so happy, you're just like, there's nothing going on. There's no bugs. You know, I've got extra time to go through and look at things now rather than constantly having to chase after, you know, oh, I've got to water today. I've got to water today. Great thing about these beds is they are sub irrigation. Everything just goes and chills, and you know, throw 5 gallons in it. It drips out slowly throughout, you know, like a couple of hours to go down. Everything's happy.
Dude, just like sitting around and watching your plant, just hanging out in your grow room is such a good it's a benefit in so many ways, because if you just sit there and let your air conditioner cycle 2, 3, 4 times, you like maybe your heaters cycle a couple times, you sit there and you feel the swings of your environment. You feel the swings of the fans oscillating and all of these different, you might feel different swings of microclimates and things. You might notice a pest. You might notice airflow is just not that good in this back corner. And now I'm finally seeing some larf down there or whatever, you know, just hanging out in your room, not even doing any work. Maybe you smoke in your room, maybe you don't. Just kick it in your room, you know, with your plants. And, you know, I find that to be so beneficial just for like environmental reasons alone, let alone IPM and all the other benefits to it, you know?
Even when you're testing your room too. So I just reset my room and, you know, I gave it about a week almost before I put plants in there. And part of that was testing the environment, you know, running my lights all the way up, turning off the AC and seeing how long it would take to get to certain points, you know, turning off the dehumidifier, cranking it all the way up. Just seeing how my room handles things, but without any plants in it. You know, I ended up adjusting a couple things and adding a fan and basically turning off the oscillation of the mall to get, you know, a circular effect. And I kind of didn't really change up my floor fans too much because they were already kind of working in the right way I wanted it to go. But just those minor things, you're right. Like a lot of that can be felt by just kind of sitting around in one of those little work chairs and just rolling over here. Checking it out over here, you know, and you'll notice some things.
Yeah, I like doing that all throughout the cycle of the plants too. Like I'll just go stand in the middle of the canopy in certain areas and I'll be like, you know, maybe I need an extra little fan in the corner over there, maybe, you know, something.
It bears mentioning though that if you don't have the environmental control and you don't have anything on the wall to tell you what the humidity or the temperature is, you're really flying blind, because you'll notice that as the plant gets to different growth stages, that the parameters of your room nothing has changed except the plant's growth. And it just completely changes the dynamics of your room. As it gets bigger, they start to, kick off a lot more. And humidity will come off of the plants if you haven't thinned them out, or it'll just start getting a lot fucking hotter in there. You'd be like, wow, it's 81 in here today. And yesterday it was only 76. Wow, what's going on? And the temperature hasn't changed anything in the outside environmental. So some plants, man, you just got to keep an eye on it.
And dude, having something like a thermometer or some kind of a gauge within the middle of your room or on your wall or something other than just what you're setting your dial to, those dials are calibrated. Yeah, I mean, they're close. They might be dead on, but sometimes it's not. You could set it to 75, but you're only reaching 72 in the middle of your canopy or something like that. And so you really need to crank it up to like 78, You wouldn't really know that without having some kind of a gauge within your canopy.
So who's got a lead on a good hygrometer is my first question. My second question is, who else is using a pulse?
And my answer was going to say to get a pulse because they have the best hygrometer, but I don't have one yet, but we use them at work. There's one in every flower room and there's one in the bedroom, and we even use it in the dry room.
What do you
Pulse
think about
looks good. The P&L grow system looks almost equally as good. A little bit less like user interface, I think.
Pulse is missing CO2 though. I don't think it reads CO2.
I read a Instagram post by them. It was probably a couple months ago at this point. They said something about including that in their next model, but I haven't heard anything about an additional model coming out. So I was kind of waiting to hold off or waiting to buy another one, until I saw that. But I haven't seen anything on it yet. But yeah, that's definitely an important part. It's including all that. It's kind of silly without it.
Yeah, Baked is mentioning about a P&L monitor too. It's just like a pulse. It's just cheaper. I don't know that, but I've heard that name. What are our price points we're talking in this, since that's what we're talking about right now?
The P&L is about half of the price, but doesn't include the CO2, which is relevant.
Well, if it's half of what, 200, half of 100?
It's about $100. I think the Pulse is about 200.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I know there's discount codes, I'm sure, for both, but anything you buy online, you should be looking for a discount code first.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that I can check with my phone, and I can get alerts if there's swings in any kind of parameters that I've set, like with the fuzzy logic.
What you just pull out of your utility belt there, Red?
This is, I think it's by HTI. This is a hydrometer. This also has dew point, wet bulb, and a couple other features, but it'll directly show in bold the humidity, which is incredibly low in my basement right here, 37% at 70 degrees. That's a relative humidity. So at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm sitting at just shy of 40%.
As you talk, the humidity is going up.
Yeah, a little bit too. It's definitely bouncing around. I got a hot breath. The what's cool is it's got a little hole right here. It looks about the same size as a tripod. So it looks like you could put this thing on a tripod, let it sit in your room if you wanted to, or maybe mount it on a bolt in a GoPro mount or something.
Good idea.
Right around your head too. And but yeah, so that's what this thing is. And it's by HDI. It also has a minimum maximum too, which can be important.
Well, the good thing about a monitor is it'll actually plot it on a graph for you, and you can just like go back and look over a 24-hour period or over a week period. You can see where, when my lights go out, I got a humidity spike, or things like that. You can identify.
Those graphs are so cool.
Yeah, so I think that's where, like Fregrowli's saying, I mean, I think it's a better strategy to just hold off and get what you're looking for and go for that.
You could also do a cheaper price point and maybe buy an Inkbird where you don't have nearly the user controls or friendliness, but the ability to at least control parameters possibly. What do you guys think about those?
Well, so that was my solution, is I opted not to buy the P&L or the Pulse, which are better monitors. But I do have a monitor that measures like 24-hour minimum and maximum. So I know like what my humidity gets down to at its worst or up to at its worst, temperature the same way. That's the most relevant number. And then I use Inkbirds to control the temperature and stuff, which is a different thing than what the Pulse does. You would have to use the Pulse and still something like an Inkbird to control your AC.
Right. So yeah, I'm kind of a mix as well. I do have a Pulse in my flower room. I have a bunch of the Titan Control stuff just for managing humidity, light controls, all that kind of stuff. And then I also have basically, I think just one in my room, but basically right when you walk in, you see it, a hygrometer with that daily, min max of both the humidity and the temperature. And it's just good to see that, every single day, because whether or not you are looking at those possibly dozens of notifications you're getting from Pulse every day, depending on your swings of your environment and stuff, or the settings you have on there with the notifications, which again is a huge bonus as well. If you're in your grow room every day, you got to have something like that plastered, on your wall somewhere. You should just have that information always in your head.
Yep. I have the $10 cheapie from eBay's, man. Like, go find something, look at the reviews on it. If you see that there's 5,000 people that use it, give it a shot. But you definitely need to, like we're saying, you need to look at that every day, and you'll start to get an idea, and it'll help you become more in tune with your garden and what's going on.
I keep a mechanical thermometer in my room also, like a regular.
Well, that's what the thing is. Fregrowli's asking what a good hygrometer is, and I'm thinking, one of those stupid ones, if you find it at Goodwill, if those were open, the old nautical kind where it's the wood thing that grandma has, and it's got the temperature and hygrometer. Dude, you're right there, money. But you can't, there's the user friendliness of that is lost, where you can't control it remotely. You can just look at it in the moment and then use it as a way to calibrate.
To have the 24 hours is way better, I think. To pay $10 and have the 24 hours, high, lows, it's way better. We have them in every flower room, even at work. But at the same time, it's important to have two, because they're not super accurate. So if you have two, so you can use one to check the other, it gives you at least a better idea of what it's actually.
That's why I'm asking, because I couldn't tell you how many of those, $10 to $15 hygrometers I've gotten off of, and anywhere from the local hardware store to Amazon or whatever. And I could put 3, 4, 5 of them next to each other, and not a single one of them will read the same. And it drives me. I mean, sometimes it's a plus or minus like 10% difference. It's like, what?
Yeah, but you play the average just like I do. I know you do. When you see 3 different ones, you're like, well, that means that I got to start, carry the one.
Yeah, I just start tossing the outliers. Like, well, this one's unreliable. This one's unreliable.
So what's out of whack the furthest? It's gone.
Back from my cigar days, we would buy the hygrometers that you could calibrate, so you could adjust a little dial and dial the numbers in. So you could buy like 5 of them for, $80 or whatever, and put in like a Bovida pack that's 62% or some shit.
It's money. You're right. That's how
put
you
it in a
them.
Ziploc bag, right? And if it reads 65, just dial it down to 62. Do that for all of them, and then that they're dead on, and then you can rely on them.
Exactly.
But they do change like every month. And another thing that I wanted to say is, unfortunately, the mechanical hygrometers don't work for shit. Nobody relies on those anymore for that reason. So like the old clock style ones and stuff can be off by like over 10% easy. And even the ones that are included on cigar humidors in the front, those are off by a lot, over 15% often.
That's a huge difference. Huge.
That's
difference.
really,
That's
really
the difference
bad.
between veg and flower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that cheap one that I have hooked up to my thermometer hasn't moved in like years.
If it can still move, or is it just broken?
Great. I love the thermometer. The thermometer is great. It's just a regular old, red liquid in a thermometer.
You can't beat
mercury?
That science, but the way
I don't think it's a mercury thermometer, but
I used one that was off a fucking boat for quite a few years. It was fairly accurate. It was like a little nautical one. It was cool.
Oh, I'm sure that has much better standards than whatever I would be talking about.
I like the number. It's stuck at 60, so I'm always like, hey, it's great in here.
Hey.
And then I go look at all the digital ones, and they're a lot higher.
It says 35 and 85 and 14.
Right. One's in Celsius.
Oh man, can you imagine the plant that's sitting in a tent that's 14% humidity? Oh Lord.
Well, just working
this
in
is a good topic.
80% humidity is a pain in the ass too.
It's a wet dog right there. Woo! She's got the bubbles on the leaves, man.
It's kind of reminding me that I might have to go spend the $50 and replace the couple of thermostats that I do.
Cheers, Reg. You definitely should.
In my room. Yeah, it's been like at least a year, maybe a couple of years. I got those like Hydro Farm ones. They got the indoor, outdoor, and then it blinks and flashes the humidity, and those things drift and go out of calibration for sure.
Your room was getting to 30 degrees every night all winter while you weren't there.
That's how you got those purples, all right?
That's how I do the purples. Yep.
Coaxed them and hit them with the ice water flush.
I was gonna say, don't forget the 45
37 degrees, just above freezing. Don't take my words as gospel, people. Don't do that.
Eagle over there catching that rainwater in the rain barrel in the wintertime there, that melt runoff. Woohoo! That's some cold stuff. Dank man, Dan, I know you know what I'm talking about out there too, brother. Shut out.
No, I have to stay in the 70s almost all times. My humidity is really high.
I want to take a second to shout everybody out in chat that we normally see. It's good to see you. I hope that everybody out there is smoking strong on something and definitely has enough to get them through tomorrow night. Be safe, have fun still, and definitely make sure to check out with this channel, with Eagle's channel. Make sure you check out Fregrowli's live stream. We've got a full plate of stuff for you to do and check out tomorrow to smoke with. So cheers on this 420 Eve, guys.
Dude, I'm sitting here next to in my little treasure chest. I have some of the Canna Kitten and MI No Till Guy.
That smells so good.
Tropicana cookies. I don't even want to crack it right now because it's, I don't want it to lose any of its essence. But I think I'm gonna burn some. I have a dab rig sitting next to me. I do have a dab rig, and I do have a torch. Whether or not I have any butane.
Did you just jump head first into the 2020s?
No, dude. I've had this torch for almost a decade, and I don't know where the
when you were a Mario brother,
dude. The bottle of butane is probably just as old.
I like that Red had to clarify that he has a rig. Like
he does.
All expected him to start doing knife hits or some shit.
Exactly. The cat. Bring out the knives, baby.
Well, a lot of people, for some reason, well, not I guess, dab on nectar collectors only, and don't do rigs at all, so they don't have the same experience.
But my thing is the only reason I use a nectar collector is because my old lungs are so beat up that if I use like a rig, I just always take more than my lungs can handle. So if I use like a really small rig, I'm less likely to blow my face off like Yosemite Sam in the old Bugs Bunny cartoons.
I think we are due to do another dab for Growly. What do you do? What are you gonna dab over there?
Well, let's use the Puffco because I can't do torch dabs all day. I don't know. So actually, I want to bust this out. I have a feeling this might have come from one of you guys. Anybody used probably around the August Cup of last year, white lids without ribs. Similar to my jars, but no ribs on the lid. And that's what I got.
Interesting. It looks like good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no name, no nothing on it. And I think it came out of that like box of stuff I had from that cup. And I'm trying to figure out who it came from. So I almost want to dab it, but I kind of want to figure out who's it,
Let this be a lesson to all of the viewers that if you bring us a sample, put your Instagram name on it so that we know who it came from. Because somebody that's as famous as Fregrowli, much more famous than me, he's going to have like 50 people walk up to him and say, hey, try my flower. And he's never going to be able to remember everyone's, conversation. It's impossible.
Spartan Grown never labels his shit, but I always just smoke those at night of anyway. So
I'll have to try to remember. I'm usually high, so
I actually do think we found a Ziploc bag and a permanent marker. I think I might have came prepared just because this has happened a few times. But yeah, I was kind of bummed out that one wasn't labeled. I'd never put this away from the archive from this series that I'm doing. It's the 24 karat gold shatter. That's probably like, I don't know, at least 3 years old.
Does it age well? Is it very similar to what it was?
Not the initial inhale, and certainly not the aroma that comes from it. And obviously, this is no longer shatter. This is more like I've been melted 100 times wax. But
see Skilbo's dab collection over there.
Yeah, look at Skilbo's drawer of fucking containers.
Skilbo, get those dabs out of the silicone.
That smiley face clown was a custom job right there.
That is from Mr. Fregrowli himself, and there is so little left in here. It's a shame.
Like, guess what I'm blasting tomorrow?
That's what I have left in mine. A little bit.
Oh wow, you have much more willpower than most, my friend.
Dude, I totally fucking do, and I know it. It's partially lungs, but a lot of it is that I use these like as a treat. So like I've said for the whole time I've done this show, people are probably sick. If they've watched every one of these shows, somebody out there knows that I'm going to mention my favorite thing that you do, which was the lime and grapefruit run, which was the cross between the grapefruit Durban and the lime skunk. I seen you say in chat that you run in the lime skunk again, and that just makes me so happy because that's got such a great wake and bake flavor profile for me, man. So definitely I'm going to bust that out right now.
The last run of lime skunk I did, I made sure to put myself aside a couple grams of the lime skunk live resin because, yeah, you're right. It was just something about it is just super, super morning time. And the clementine's definitely a heady one too, but I'll do a combo of those for sure.
Money right there. That's my favorite.
Something I wanted to mention while we were talking about your extracts is how often you talk about how clementine doesn't look like a pretty plant when you grow it. And I love how much praise it gets as an extract. You know, like I don't know, it grows up into something beautiful or something like that. I think that's really cool about that plant.
Guys, this still smells just as good as when I got it. Like, it's weaker than it was, but I don't even have to move this around. And it's just got that wonderful. Yeah, there it is right there. Teasing. Look at that beast.
Well, I've always been a kind of fan of your funky stuff, like the cheese pie. Like, what's coming up like that? Like, I know these guys seem to get on the fruity bandwagon. I want that funk.
Not a whole lot, to be honest. I ran a bunch of stuff for a caregiver recently that was like banana mac, and I don't remember all the strains because I actually not even sure what all the strains were. I think you did tell me at one point, but I don't have a whole lot of funky stuff anymore. That was part of the hopes of the pheno hunt. Unfortunately, just about all that didn't come through. I am re-vegging the Jesus juice, which is a very, very tangy, leaner, and one of the slur canes. But I've got, Primal Punch isn't funky. I got to find some funky ones, to be honest. It's one of those ones where I don't generally seek after the seeds. I think almost all but the jelly bean in terms of any kind of funk that I've had have come from cuts, not something I like went and sought out, bought a pack, hunted it out, there was a couple of them in this pheno hunt, but that was a S show.
I think my buddy Baked got some seeds of Chem D crossed with Chem 91. Maybe something like that is something that you should look for. It's like a dial back or a call back to the past a little bit.
Wow, this clementine is so good. Thank you. I just did the double back to back. Shout out to Sequence and the super low temps on these, so it keeps me from coughing.
So next time you're at an event with us or we're at the same one, I'll bring you a cut of my OG. That'll cover your funk.
I don't, even if I could just mix it with other stuff, you know what I mean? It doesn't I don't need a ton of everything. I do have I generally have a ton of citrus stuff. But even the edibles I go after are just all citrus stuff.
Like, I think I've seen kind of a trend over the last couple of years. It was cookies, and I guess last year was kind of more about the orange citrusy terps. Last couple of years,
cakes, gelatos.
Yeah, what I'm looking at now, it seems like everything's kind of pushing lime. Do you see the same thing or no? Like, I'm seeing lime more and more and more.
Oh, bring it on, man. That's what we're talking about. That lime terpene, man, is great for the energy and mental clarity. Gets you in a good mood.
GMO, I think, is in a lot of stuff now too, for the funk, and I think it's crossed into a lot of things to try to get away from that long flower time.
Dude, I'm excited. Go ahead, man.
Well, I was just gonna say everything I've ran from Michigan Made Melts has been some sort of GMO cross, and that's what he did. He basically ran at least two full cycles of all GMO crosses, and it's just like, he's landed on a couple good ones, but like he ran a lot of them, but that's kind of where that funk is coming from. If you're looking for something I process, unfortunately.
A lime sour would be amazing. I'd love to have a cut.
I wonder what GMO would mix well with, where like you can marry the two strains together. Anybody in chat have any ideas on what you would mix the GMO with to make a kick-ass new fucking
those crosses that are like, slurricane and, all those sorts of things are pretty good, or, Han Solo burger or whatever. I think that's made with GMO.
Yeah. See, I've had the Han Solo burger. I've yet to have GMO, so I couldn't even tell you.
Oh
Looking
my
to
lord,
maybe-
you haven't had
yeah.
GMO, brother? Wow, that's
No.
like the number one strain I've had the last year. I've sought it out so many times. It's one of my favorite terps.
I think I would probably look to go back in its genetics and just like back cross it back to chem or something like that. Chem seems to always bring something strong with it. So go back to chem with it, maybe see what that would unlock.
That's what I was thinking too, Spartan. Is it like you'd almost I couldn't see crossing it with something citrus, and I'm thinking of like kind of dinner plates because it's and some people call it garlic mushroom onion, right? Like, well, what else would be on that dinner plate? You know what I mean? And it's like it's gonna be something chemi. It's gonna be like that biochem star killer, something along that kind of route. Something that kind of gets you in the nose, but also that like kind of OG side of things. Nothing like citrusy. Nah, I don't know. Maybe roll the die, but good luck.
Yeah, I wonder how it would be with like a Tahoe Kush. You know what I mean? Or it's just straight up OG Kush.
Yeah, someone in the chat just said GMO and OG Kush. Mishi Calyx. Squirrel Face says, what about Spartan steak flavor?
I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about.
The headlights.
Spartan's growing steaks over at his place for Fregrowli.
It does sometimes smell like that, but then if you cure it just right, it smells
It
like
went
piss.
away.
It smells
went-
just like straight piss. I've got one hanging right now that is straight piss. I don't know if it's gonna
I'm
stay.
happy. Good. Like cat piss? Like that kind of
Oh
piss?
yeah, like
Oh
like
yeah, that's like a
fucking-
grapefruit then. Like a grapefruit.
like your eye water fucking piss.
Well, how about
Yeah,
this?
that
How about
day.
you like bag up like some fresh frozen of it, so you try to get that steak flavor, and then someone else who's got some GMO or even just a GMO leaner, that terp profile will take half your steak, mix them together, and maybe we'll have a whole new dinner, that you can, take and seek out and breed, find those terps.
Bourguignon. Yeah, man, something snazzy like that.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I don't need expensive food.
I love
it.
Sherbet for dessert.
I'll be running GMO hopefully the next flower run, so that'll be really neat.
How does that veg? That veg is pretty quick, doesn't it, Spartan?
What are we talking about?
GMO.
Yeah, GMO. Well, yeah, veg is I think normal. I wouldn't say faster or slower. I think it's just veg is normal, but in flower, that's when it fucking takes off and it just doesn't want to stop growing. It just
Warlock says GMO Death Star. Now that could be a real sensational. Red, I know you could be about that.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at Michelle F. Ibutson. I murdered her name. I'm so sorry. Colorado roasted garlic margie. I have one of those in the vault that I should go back to trying to pop. I popped a couple and I didn't get very good starts on them, so I offed them. But I might have to go back into that. It's making me want to test that out. Louder funk than GMO, mama.
I've got so much stuff that I want to pop, but one of the ones that I keep telling myself I want to get to soon is I have cuvee seeds from Subcool that are F1s, so be pre-fire. So those are like burning a hole in my pocket. I really, really, really want to get popping those because he always went on and on about one of his favorite.
How old are those seeds?
Dude, I don't know.
Has anybody heard about the
Years.
H2O2 washing them on how to like basically pop older seeds?
Well, that's kind of the opposite of what I'm trying to do because that's going to kill all the bacteria. And I can see the benefit of that. It's going to stop any pathogens and things like that from coming in too at the same time. But for me, as an organic grower, I'm trying to, build that microbiome right from the get-go. So I guess if you washed it and then dried it, maybe it might be okay.
Do you have any soak that you use for them to encourage the popping?
No, man. I just put them in the root riot cubes that I soak in just plain water. I'm not fancy, but to me, I guess it's my Spartan mentality. But it's like, man, you gotta fucking grow. I'm not gonna fucking baby your ass. You have to fucking grow. And if you're gonna be that pain in the ass, you fucking out. You know what I mean?
There's only room for one of those in the garden. It's the Mac, and it's already secure, so
Exactly,
nothing butts in it.
The Mac's there just for the challenge of the Mac. That's why that's there for now. And when that stops being fun, it's gone too. But I got to get it there. Shit, I think I'm gonna put it into flower. Put it into flower tomorrow, maybe tomorrow or the next day.
And you told us that was from November, right?
Yeah, like I got that cut last fall. So
Love those 6-month strains, bro.
I did take clones, so I did slow it down a little bit, but they're slow fucking, and I'm not gonna lie, it took a little while to get used to how it likes to be fed or the environment. And the only things I figured out about it so far was to let them get dry. They like to be really dry, and then also I don't overfeed them. I just feed them about half as much as what I would normally, and they seem to love that shit. And then let them dry out again, and then every day though, or every other day, or whenever I feel about it, I spray them with just water, like a foliar of just water. It seems like they like the water on their leaves. They just don't like so much on the fucking roots for whatever reason. Doing that combination, I've seemed to at least got them through veg. So
what pH water for foliar?
I don't even fucking pH my fucking water, dude. I just
do you know what pH it is though? You know what I mean? Like, do you know what it is?
Yeah, my water usually comes out pretty basic. It's like 8.
Okay. Okay.
So, but yeah, if I were to pH it, I'd probably pH it down to 6.0, but I don't know. I'm just using.
I heard the reason I asked just because I heard PM likes or doesn't like rather like high pH. So some people are taking. I'm sure we've all heard milk and baking soda and stuff like that, but they're taking even silica products or whatever it might be, and just getting it around 9 to 9.6 or whatever pH, and doing foliar sprays that way just because it doesn't like the pH. But that specific problem has been on my mind, so I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, but that does work. What you're saying, yeah, that there's actually I was actually looking into it. I forget what it was called now, but there's actually a machine that you could run your water source through, and what it does is pH. You can set it to the pH you want the water to come out on the other end, and there's two outputs, and so the total number of pH is 15 between the two. So if you set one for 5, it's going to come out 10 on the other side. And the idea is you make really high pH for exactly what you're saying, and you foliar feed with that, or foliar spray with that, and then you come right back with a really low pH, the acidic. I think I said it backwards. You start with the acid, then you clean it up with the base, but the acid will treat like insects and shit like that, and then when you come back with the base, it will treat what you're saying, like the PM and things like that. And it also helps mitigate the acid you just sprayed. And it's all just using water. I wish I could remember what it was called, but I thought that might be something cool for us to look at using at work.
Is this like a system integrated to reservoirs in your water room, or is this more like a backpack thing, or what?
It looked like this was a device that they just had bolted to the wall, and they had a hose going through the top, and then the 2 hoses coming out.
Okay.
The bottom side. So filling up a 5-gallon bucket maybe, or I don't know. I'm sure they have different sizes too, you know what I mean? So man, you know what? I remember it was a podcast I was listening to that they interviewed somebody from the company, and I'll have to try to figure out what the hell that was.
So we got a couple questions in chat. I hope I don't miss any of them. The first one was, I believe they were asking, you guys know, can you recommend any great yielding short flowering strain?
Yeah, auto purple microdot. It's an auto flower. But I don't have ones that, I guess, no, I don't really have ones that, what I consider a short flower, other people consider normal. If it gets done in 52 days, I think that's fast.
My Snuck 1's fairly quick, but to get a large yield, you have to spend extra time in bed. So I don't know that kind of defeats the purpose then.
Well, and then there's also the extra week. Let's say that you pull something at day 53. If you would have ran it till 63, chances are that you would have increased the total weight of the plant's production in those extra 10 days.
Yeah, I agree with that. Grape Ape is pretty much done. It's classically done between 55 and 60 days. I take it at 70 days because I'm going to get an extra ounce, maybe 2 off the plant, and I'm going to get a better fade and better bag appeal. I'm going to get a better smoke in my own opinion. So I take those earlier cultivars later. So I'm horrible recommendation on that one also. But I would say probably Great Babe if you just want to grow it quick and have some short squat or something like summertime outdoor.
Eagle, what do you say? You've grown a shit ton of fucking different genetics down there. What would you recommend to somebody?
He said 9-pound hammer.
The 9-pound hammer, yeah. Yeah, 9-pound hammer is usually done for me with 50, 55 days, and it's a nice yielder. Heavy indica. That's my suggestion. Anyway, that's my fastest flip.
I always think of shortish flower as like 60 days is like the goal for short flower for me.
Anything under 60 days to me is fast.
Yeah, so the strain that I always think about is GG4 because that is like such a crazy yielding strain that'll finish in 60 or 63 days. And you can get it just about everywhere, you know, if you can find clones. So that's one that I always like to think about.
I agree totally. That's a great recommendation, the GG4. That's easy to grow, yields, and it's dank.
It's
It'll
definitely
teach you how to scrog or how to support plants one way or another. You're gonna have to. So
Yeah, that's the one like difficulty with that plant is you gotta support the fucking branches on that one. Because they just flat, it's like spaghetti fucking branches on the side branching.
tomato
You're gonna learn
cages or
about
scrogs, yeah.
Yeah, and dual layer at least. You're not gonna get away with the single layer scrog, let's be honest.
well, like by virtue of growing plants like GG4, if you can grow that floppy plant, you can grow something like GMO, or you can grow like my crescendo happens to be a floppy, scraggly plant. You know, not all of them are, you know, thick enough to grow into their buds and support them. They just lean over.
Dude, if we're honest, the crescendo looks like fucking, or not the crescendo, the citro glue looks like shit when it's in veg. It's all scraggly looking and everything else, but once it hits flower, I mean, it's a stunner at the end. But it'll go weird in the early stage. You're like, ooh, just like Gorilla Glue, you're like, man, this thing is so flimsy and wants to branch like crazy on me. So for some growers, if you use a scrog, you want something like that that's going to throw a lot of side branching that you can really work into your nets and pull down a really nice even harvest.
As somebody that does a lot of scrog, I'm looking for the plants that stretch a lot because when I go from veg into flower, I have to move plants from one room to another. So I have to go when they're just a little bit too small, really, for the net. So having a really stretchy plant lets you fill that net up, and it really helps with the yield, I think.
Well, to piggyback on that, I think you can also say like what Spartan and Matt do at work for them is when they make the move and they put the plant into the final room where it's going to flower, they don't immediately hit the lights to 12-12. They grow them up into the nets, and once they're satisfied with where the plant's at and where it's sitting, only then do they go ahead and then flip the lights and say, okay, let's get it, guys.
Yeah, that's definitely an option if you're not in like a perpetual system.
Yeah, I mean, we're growing that way, and it's just we just count, you know, the first week, I guess, or 2 weeks sometimes of, you know, in the flower room. Technically, we're on veg schedule still,
and it's transitioning on the lights because it's made a difference in the lights as to what it's got to try to acclimate under. You don't want it to be stressed out and then say, okay, giddy up, let's go, girl.
Right. So really our veg is really like what most people's pre-veg would be. And we finish our vegging in our flower rooms, and we flower for longer periods of times too, but it all kind of fits together that way.
Right.
We had another question from John Wayne. He was wondering what you guys thought about fem seeds. Myself, personally, I love them. Like, if a breeder or somebody hands me seeds, the fems are the first ones I'm going to run. Because, I mean, beyond just knowing it's a female, like, I like to do full fem seed tents and then not top them or do anything to them, just having that seed bigger, and I get a lot faster turnover in that tent, too.
An interesting point. I just wanted to note that because they had asked about like herms, they said that they had some fem seeds that had hermed on them before. And I would say scientifically, you're not any more likely to get herms from fems than you are regular seeds. However, if you have bad parents in your plants, you will be able to have herms, just like you will in regular seeds. You can get them in both. So I'd say that that's not necessarily indicative of feminized only. Depending on the breeder, though, some breeders used bad breeding practices that really bred herms into plants.
The only femmes I've got, the only femmes I've popped, I think, are from 2020, but they've all been pretty good. So, I mean, hell, I won a light out of that deal, so I'm not going to bitch about femmes. You're not going to hear me talk shit about them at all.
Oh, my personal med femmes, dude. The sour melon was a femme.
Well, and to go into talking about that 2020 grow off with those femmes, there was a difference between the 3 samples that we judged. So anybody that says, well, if you get femme beans, it's all going to be the same thing, that's not necessarily true, man. There is still going to be pretty wild variance in not just the structure of the plant, but the way that it finishes and the terpene profile of it. So don't just automatically poo-poo femmes out of the gates like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that and piggyback and say that it's about the breeder on that one.
Yeah, I've had experience with pretty good breeders when it comes to femmes. And yeah, I noticed that you'll get a couple different females, but not as much as you would from regs. You'll see 2, maybe 3 out of a 12 pack if you're lucky.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think that's kind of normal for a lot of things. It'd be weird for me if I popped a 10 pack and I had 5 different phenos. That'd be really, really weird for me. Just stop and think about that. If you have a 10 pack of regs and you get 5 different phenos, so that means that you've eliminated ostensibly at least 3 of those were males. I don't know, that's kind of shaky. That thing's probably got 5 or 6 things real close in the genealogy to it.
Is that where the term pollen chucking comes in?
Pollen chucking comes in when you take like a male of, say, like Girl Scout cookies, and you cross it with every hype strain that you can find. So we have a 72 plant limit in Michigan.
We just get one big 10 or one big room and put all of them in there together.
71 really good cuts, and then you breed Girl Scout cookies with all of them, and then you sell those seeds, and that's pollen chucking.
Okay. So I've definitely had the thought of doing that before, but never have.
Logistically, it'd have to be 36 because we have to take one cut off of each plant at least so that we can preserve our genetics, unless we're going to do a re-veg at the end and be really thrifty just so we get our numbers up.
You guys are being very...
Once you sell all those seeds for $10 a piece and you have several million of them, you're doing just fine and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, everybody's excited to buy F1s. Why would you bother making an F2?
F1 vigor, baby.
I got that whole thing unlocked.
I'm just so excited to see all the crosses that have come out lately. I mean, man, a lot of star showstoppers, man.
I'm going to actually dabble in breeding some personal plants. I'm really excited about, like, I kept the Trop Cookies male to do that. But I don't know about distributing them to anyone, but I'm certainly excited about growing my own stuff and seeing what happens with it.
What do you want to mash with it? The Crescendo?
I was thinking about the Citral Glue first. The Crescendo is a Cookies cross. So Cookies is known to Herm already. We were talking about that. So you don't want to take that plant and cross it with another plant that is known to Herm a lot, which would be another potential Cookies cross. So I will veer away from that and go for the other way.
It's too risky of a breeder's roulette for you, is what you're saying?
I think some breeders have a rule not to breed Cookies plants with each other.
There sure is a lot of cookie crosses out there that proves them wrong.
Well, anything that's got cookies in one half of it is a Cookies cross. So
what I was just going to say before you ran with the breeding thing was I hope that at least 1 or 2 of you get a chance to pop those beans that I gave everybody, or at least a couple of those beans do get popped, or we get to see what maybe some germ rates are. I want to try popping some, but I'm stuck with plant counts and I can't grow that many of them.
That was a Grape Ape CBD, and that was also the Granddaddy Perp CBD, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the male was all CBD, supposedly all CBD. I never got it tested, so I'd like to grow some of the offspring and eventually test some of those flowers and see if there's any CBD holders out there. But the idea, I think I want to pull a male from the Granddaddy line and maybe try to mess with that male and just maybe not go off of cannabinoid percentage, but just kind of go off vigor and things like that. And just maybe flavor off of eating the leaves and things like that. However I feel that I want to use that male.
Love listening to breeders talk, man. And then them being like, this is why I bred this plant. I've just looked at like what shaped leaf I was looking for and just picked that 9 times in a row. That's how we got, fucking bumfuck, whatever, and it's really cool to, have that happen. And they're like, now this is how we have apple strains, because that's, found this 1 out of 100 that kind of tasted like apples, and then, did that and back crossed it with this and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I love that stuff.
I don't mind hearing about it. I just don't want to bother doing it. I'd rather let the people who are passionate about that do that, and I'm just going to try to grow that shit.
I really want to find something that's like stable for Michigan, I want to dial something in for like pretty much I'd like to say my backyard. I'll probably end up moving in the next few years, but like I'd like to say my general area. I don't think I'll go too far. I'll probably stay in the same kind of climate.
So what would your suspicion be if you were to run one of those 2 crosses and you were to recommend one of them? We can either go the Grape Ape aisle or we can go down the Granddaddy Purp aisle. What would you recommend?
I'd recommend the Grape Ape aisle if you want to get something. Maybe if you want to try to pull a short pheno, like if you want to pull something short and bushy, you're probably going to get something. If there's a Grape Ape leaner in there, you might get something that's short and stocky and might finish
Stealthy.
early. And the fortunate thing that I had was I didn't have any issues with pests or mold or mildew, botrytis or anything with this Grape Ape this year.
That's big for Michigan.
Right. That's what I
Yeah.
was going to ask. What are your, stipulations for finding something that's stable in Michigan?
I think that nails it right there. It's got to be able to survive. If it gets PM, it's worthless to us.
It's something that I don't want to go. I want it to be done flowering in September, preferably early September. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stipulations that I really have for wanting it like here in Michigan. A lot of it has to do with like making sure that it's going to survive that rain season, or it's going to come down before that rain season and that powdery mildew botrytis season. Because that's the issue that I always have with like anything that's sativa leaning or 70-day leaning.
Those hazes, it's
impossible.
It's those big colas, man. Those always get botrytis. I've seen it. It's yeah. It's obviously some hazes are gonna have some resistance or whatever, but I see it in common in those ones that are just big. Second they get to October, they haven't been covered up with a heavy rainfall, you're looking at a lot of it.
Something that I really liked that I saw out of the line that I pulled the male, the CBD male that pollinated everything. I only pollinated Grape Ape, I pollinated a Granddaddy Purple, and there was like a Kush plant from my personal feminized accidental garden many years ago. And then there was another high CBD in there, the same auto. It was the same cross. So we would say that these ones coming out of that are, I guess, the F2s or something off, or maybe they're the F1s off of that. Yeah, they'd be the F2s because they're what, brother, sister, and then they're being bred together. So then you go to the F2s. So anyways, what I was trying to get at with that before I get lost too far and distracted by my furnace is that they went really late into the season, and they even survived a snow, and they came out and they were growing well into like the high 40s, low 50-degree nights. And, they were really taken on to the late season really well.
The reason that you did that was because you were trying to produce seeds. You were trying to seed the plants out. So you would have pulled them back in September, like you said.
I totally would have pulled them most likely. And they probably were ready, but I didn't think that a lot of the seed were really ready to pull, but I didn't have any mold or bad. I mean, they were still smokable by the end of October and whatnot. I really enjoyed it. So
and it sounds like I should pop them tonight because I need to get something out there for outdoors, and I can't be growing these tree monsters. So why not?
And I got plenty more. I mean, let me know how the germ rates are. I got plenty of those seeds. I want to see how they work. I see what's out there with them.
I think that's the stress of growing outdoors, right? Every plant, the first time you pop the seeds and run them outdoor, you're like, all right, now when are they going to finish? Because even if they go 60 days, you don't know when that 60 days is going to start. Growing indoors, you set your lights to 12 hours and it starts then. But outdoors, it might start when it's 13 hours, so that plant might be a week ahead of all the rest of your plants and you have no idea, or it might even be a week behind. So outdoors is crazy, different scenario.
Anyone try doing like light depth with like not like a killer light depth greenhouse, but like like almost like a dog kennel and just throwing tarps over it every day? I mean, anybody gone to that extent?
No, but it totally sounds like it would work though. I mean, like if you really wanted to try to maximize your harvest and everything like that, definitely would be something I would do if I wasn't an indoor grower. Outdoor only, sure.
You know, they have those tarps. The silver ones are UV resistant. Heads up on that.
My only advice in that in that situation is have good fucking airflow, a fan,
Yep, smoke them, yeah.
Because you're just asking for fucking mold. You're just asking for it.
Yeah. Good point. And I guess if you're like, if you're going to that extent, you probably are an outdoor grower only. And if you are going to that extent, being an outdoor grower only, you're probably going to have a greenhouse or some other method of controlling it, but
I think
that's definitely going to have to be a
used-
upcoming episode, because we could probably talk a good couple hours on how to extend veg in the early spring or late spring, early summer, and how to like maybe kick off an early flower if you want to with light dep or something. Go ahead, Spartan. Sorry, man.
No, I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say.
Dude, I'm so sorry. Now I feel bad. My bad.
No, Spartan is extra baked tonight. He's
We were talking
definitely
about-
chilling with us.
Yeah, we were talking about outdoor and
light deprivation.
I know what it was. I was gonna say, I grow outdoor every year, or I used to, and but now you have to really consider all of these seeds that are showing up in the outdoor crops from just pollination from people. Now that even rec is legal, there's going to be even more seeds because people are going to be using reg seeds and not knowing what the hell to do, that there is even a male female. There's going to be all this pollen flying. So I think Fregrowli makes a good point to, if you really want to be a serious outdoor grower anymore, the only way to really do it and protect your investment is to be enclosed somehow from pollen, and that means greenhouse with filters.
Yeah, if it goes bad, you just blast it. It'll be fine.
Who on the panel's got the
That's another problem. That's another problem is that whole market is already just full of fucking product.
Flooded.
Because of the whole testing procedure. If you fail one test, it's such a penalty to even try to get it tested again that you're almost forced to push it off into the concentrate market. So that market's going to tank if they keep doing shit like that, man. It's just going to be like over flooded forever.
I hear pound prices are way down right now.
I haven't. I've heard that our stuff is still selling, but it's taking longer to sell. But yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about the grow off stuff. Abolish, did you want to chat about this?
Sure. This week we had a vote, and it was like the most wow to wow the judges. And this system right here, personally, it wowed me because I just love that it's basically DIY. He took the classic Home Depot yellow top tubs we all love, and he's got his own, regenerative bed in there. And every plant in there, every leaf, it looks happy, green, not a bit of blemish. So nice job, Joe Gross.
I love how all these plants are growing into big natural bushes, and they don't need a lot of training or topping.
There's a lot of consistency between those plants. Look at those. I mean, those leaves are very, very consistent.
When you have a wide base like that's like the best situation. When you have a wide based pot to be in like that, then the plant kind of emulates that because the roots kind of stretch the same way, the branches kind of stretch the same way.
Beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful leaves.
I like these roots being covered up.
That's an earth box right there. I've got one of those too. Those are pretty cool. I don't really like those shower caps on there. There's
another one. Look at how happy those leaves are.
Oh, go back to that last one. Look at the
man.
Look at all the leaves and everything. Like everything looks kind of like it's thicker, fuzzier.
Can you realize what kind of buds those are going to be? Those are going to be some really dense, tight, stacky buds right there. Look at even Fregrowli knows he's going. Oh yeah, baby.
Dr. Denkenstein right here.
And there's something just about the rice holes I love on the top. I just love the look of it. You know what I mean? It's just so satisfying to see that.
Was anybody else infatuated with the symmetry of the plant?
Always.
I was always really infatuated with just the symmetry of the leaves.
You only ever get that from a seed too,
Yeah, you know how bummed out I was first time I did clones, and I was like, "Why doesn't this look right?"
Here's how
it's so annoying.
The 2020 guys that ran theirs, they harvested it 57 days.
Frosty. That's 57. That's good for 57. I'll imagine putting another week on that.
That looks so fucking sticky. Look at that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny
Shout
because
out
I see
2020 Mendocino.
I see a lot of snow cane in that bud structure. At least the snow cane that I've
definitely
selected.
Here's Michigan
Yeah,
Medicaid.
those leaves.
Shout out to M2.
Oh yeah, M2. Look at those meaty stalks. I love.
Yeah.
That's that clone or not clone. That's that seed vigor, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the things Dankman Dan was talking about in our late session last week was the amount of nodal space or
Oh wow, look at those ones.
small nodal spacing and how close they are. Sorry, Scobo.
Yeah, she's gonna stack.
Here's working class stoner.
Those are beasts.
Damn, you're way ahead of everybody. Look at those monsters already compared to everybody else's.
Good.
That's day 55 of veg.
What do you guys think in chat? What do you like these, huh?
I'm sorry, Sequence, did you say whether or not any of those had been flipped to flower yet?
That's a great picture right there. I like that picture.
Tommy right here was talking in the grow off chat, asking if anyone was getting ready to flip.
420, I thought, right?
Day 46 right here.
I like those white pots.
I know they're snazzy.
Yeah, those are
Those look nice.
Those are radical bags, I believe.
Those look like they're just gonna take off when they hit flower too.
Like surprisingly clean looking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, gotta keep them clean like these dang hoodies, man. But I will say though,
I wore white sweatpants and a white tank top to garden all day, and I'm like clean still somehow. It's like a miracle. Normally, I get myself so dirty so fast.
Oh, GP, always.
Is that sound coming through?
No.
Okay, good. It's pretty loud.
So I don't think I hear anything.
GP always has the pretty looking plants too, man. It's always clean and neat in there.
Always got that bulldog.
Always. Getting the names. Everybody's got a name.
Barrel Caskin. Martha.
There's Martha.
It's gonna be a nice one right there. Look
See
at
that nice top?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's that symmetry I'm talking about there.
That one
That's
there,
looking
yeah.
nice.
Sexy.
I'd be cleaning up some of those bottoms a little bit.
Alexis.
That's my only critique. I'd clean those bottoms up a little bit. It worries me when the leaves touch the soil or get close to it.
They always just basically shrivel up when they do.
Well, it's a vector
Like
for
little ladders.
Bugs.
You know,
Yeah.
to get from there to there.
And it's cutting down your airflow. Ooh.
High and tight. This was 6
Look
days
at
ago.
look at how meaty. I can't get over all these stalks on
This
these
is
things.
Dank Man Dan.
Look at
Showing
that.
off. Look at that.
Look at that
striptease.
stock. Those are those stalks that Abolish blows out those cubes with.
Yeah, this line seriously has some vigor in it, man. I would be
Listen.
excited to see these grown outdoors.
I think that was the Grand Champagne, wasn't it, Abolished?
Yeah, well, I'm starting to think that it's the sour strawberry genetics that's got that huge stalk to it, you know, and that really good structure.
Ooh, look at that one.
I think I'm gonna have to grow one of these outdoors.
That's good work, Dank Man Dan.
That looks really good. Those leaves look like they'd be the size, if not bigger than your head.
Forest Bros.
Don't they look like they'd be like Jurassic plant?
I love those. Are my favorite
Yeah.
leaves, man. I get so happy when I have any of those.
Yeah, they look like you're gonna be out there pruning every single day in the summertime if you're outside.
Shout out to Miss C. She had those gigantic skunk one paws over there in Abolished Garden.
Oh man,
All right,
they were
get
big.
back on camera.
I don't. We started getting the last, I'd say last month or 2 months we've had our BPD, everything just dialed in, and we're getting Jurassic style leaves before our defoliation. That thing was like 2 Miss C heads.
Looked like it could have palmed her face.
I love that photo.
Shouts
I mean,
to
you get it on a grow up plant,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if you guys seen that, but I mean, there's like 4 main leaves coming out of the side of the bush or whatever, and it's like covering my easy swaps now.
Shout out to 2020 in the chat. What's happening, brother?
Yeah, they're saying how that's the Afghan influence in the strawberry Afghan that's bringing that out.
It definitely seems like the Afghan is very strong in the genetics. They're really short, bushy plants.
It's good medicine too when you start leaning on the Afghani side.
That explains the speed, though, right?
The flowers really
Explains-
reminded me of the strawberry sour kush. That's what those femmes are that I had ran outside. And just real, like, thick and dense and frosty like that.
I mean, I would say a speedy Afghan plant is the type of plant that I would give to growers to try to grow in Michigan outdoors.
Always try to pick a plant that comes from a natural environment if you're thinking of older stuff like that. But if you're in a wetter environment, you might want to start looking at some of those Afghanis and more of the indica leaners and things like that are from hardier climates than trying to mess around with some kind of Mexican, equatorial strain or something like that.
I just had kind of a stone thought. What if we put together one of the prizes and run a contest to come up with a name for this thing? I think it's been too long without being able to have a name to call this. I think we should at least.
It's got a good name. It's got a good name.
Oh, does it have a name?
Yeah.
I haven't been informed.
The winner is supposed to name it, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the deal is?
I thought that was going to be one of the secret special prizes for the winner that we just let out.
Well, but it has an unofficial name in the chats that we're talking about. Just using the initials itself, we think it's kind of funny. So, anybody want to cover what the genetics are and figure out what those initials are? Talking about a pineapple Thai, right? So our first two letters are PT, and then the other strain is what, fellas?
Sour strawberry.
So we've got the SD. So we have the
PTSD.
PTSD. Yeah. So we were talking it'd be great if this was like a high THC V strain, and it actually was really beneficial for people like myself that are veterans that have PTSD. That would just be like cherry on top. So you always have to have that one wild unicorn hope every time.
You just got to go with the hype of the time.
Hilarious.
And the most popular thing to name it right now would be Carol Baskin.
Oh, Jesus.
That'd be the hated one. Don't do that. See, Tara knows. Shout out, Tara.
Yeah, it'd be great if it relieved some anxiety, man.
We almost got through a show without bringing up the fucking bullshit tiger bullshit on fucking Netflix.
This close, brother.
So close.
The thing is, I haven't even watched it. The score.
I haven't watched it either. Obviously, I can't think of the name.
TSD has the blessing of 2020, so that's good.
They like it. It works. So we're really glad that everybody's decided to join us and hang out tonight. Again, this is really just about us being able to celebrate 420 the way that we have to right now. It's 420 Eve. As always, we're so glad that you decided to spend it with us in the Michigan Bros Grow Show. It's always great to have Fregrowli on and everybody else on the panel and chat. So I just want to say cheers to you guys, man. You guys rock, and you're what makes this show what it is.
Yeah, and shout out again to Dro for winning our contest, our bi-weekly contest for the Grow Off. We will do it again, don't worry.
And what was the prize pack? I didn't see Vanna show us the prize.
Dun, 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 dun. Come on, Abolish Dance. Damn it.
The prize pack for this week is similar to last week, except I have some special slaps from Spartan Grown to throw in this week. So,
That's fine,
2 weeks ago.
I want to do a contest, but I want to do it on our Discord to try to drive people to our Discord so we have a bigger community there. So I'm gonna put a link in the chat if you join our Discord. We're gonna do a contest, and if you win, I'll send you seeds.
Just that easy.
That easy. I'm looking at my list to see what I would think somebody might want.
Let's toss them out there and give a tease. Maybe winner gets Pixies.
How about a Triangle Kush Watermelon Skittles cross?
Ooh, that's that ethos, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on my multi-pass list.
Anybody in chat have that multi-pass along with Mr. Sequence? And if you do, were you smart enough to get it in the very beginning when you got it for the hundo?
The hundo is nice.
Probably still the best seed campaign I've ever seen from a breeder. Shout out to him. That was genius.
How many seeds did you get in the first year's pack?
Well, we're going to get more. There's going to be another package at least in August and maybe more. I'm in the tier 1. So if there's additional packages, I'm probably most likely to get them. But I got like fucking almost 100 seeds already. So
wow,
years
$1
worth
a
of
seed,
seeds.
man.
So I'm
For
giving away
sure.
some seeds to the community. Really appreciate the community a lot and wanted to drive
We
a
have
little bit of traffic to our cool Discord. We chat there about all sorts of things. We share memes. We talk about growing. We share pictures there in a higher resolution than you can get on Instagram, which is nice, among other things.
Modern Genetics wants to know how they can get on Discord.
Yeah, if you want to game with us, that's where to go to.
Dankman420 says, how is Ethos gear? How's the stability? I would say as someone who's ran a few of them as cuts that I got off of Sequence, that I can report the same stability that he has. I haven't seen any kind of funniness out of anything I've ran of there so far. So Big Jar Grows wants to know the link to the Discord.
Yeah, so people have claimed that some of the genetics are unstable, but I haven't experienced that in any of mine. I would say, though, because I've heard that, I would be wary of having any instabilities in my room. So like Fregrowli was talking about checking his room temperature, all of that. I would do all of those sorts of things to make sure your room is dialed in enough, because maybe they can't handle unnecessary stress. Another thing that I like to do is to go inside of my room and close the door and turn everything on. Turn on your AC, turn on your dehumidifier, and see if you have lights shining on shit, because that'll harm out your plants too, and you might never notice that you've got LEDs shining on your buds and stuff when the lights are off. So there's some things that you can do that help limit that.
We talked about that, I think, in our chat. Didn't you say that you were the other one? Because I do it, or I put electrical tape over my like surge, the little red lights on the surge protectors.
Dehumidifier, I do the same thing. I've used like a piece of tape for it and then make it so it just pulls back as a flap. So fold the tape over. Ghetto, but gets it done.
Fortunately, some other devices blink green lights and stuff like that. So I don't mess with the green blinking lights and haven't had any issues with that.
Anyone ever have any issues with infrared from cameras?
I have not.
No.
So I heard that was a problem, and I had already ran like most of a run with the light on, just infrared on. And so I turned it off, and I decided that I can get a compromise, right? If you really need to see them, you can just turn it on and then look, and then turn the infrared back off again. So I decided that I was going to do that going forward.
Okay, there's a question in chat from Huron Cannabis Consultant HCC. Hey Spartan, question of the day. I have runoff at 2,400 ppm, which is crazy high. But he says it's an organic soil. So now I'm confused. Week 5. What should I do? Feed more microbes or just water my way through? It's in a super soil.
Yeah,
Have you ever measured your ppm in organics?
No.
I mean, I know you don't normally, but like, is it normally pretty high?
It depends on how hot it is in the beginning, but if your plants look like it's burning up or anything, that's when I would take concern with it. Just I don't know. I have big ass beds, so I don't get a runoff like that.
In an organic setting, ppm doesn't tell me anything. It's a number it's a number telling me, it doesn't tell me anything really. So I've never checked, to be honest. I've never checked it. So
right, Shredder's saying about aging the super soil. So
if you're just curious if that's a crazy,
if you're in a soil and you're in organic soil, but you're feeding salts and that's a runoff issue, then yeah, I would say just you're feeding water for the rest of your time, man. No more salts, especially if you're already in week 5. But I don't. Other than that, if you're in an organic situation, and you're checking your ppm.
He says it's loving it. It's just he was worried about it because probably coming over from the old salt-based things and worrying.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don't even worry really about ppm.
Let the plant tell you.
Yeah. Yep.
Apparently, some said his super soil recipe is around 1900 ppm. So like that doesn't sound crazy. Then like 2500 is not that Obscene.
Well, remember, we're not feeding our plants. We're just making stuff available in the soil, and the plant's going to take up what it wants through the exchange.
Don't forget how to do ppm and pH in no time, but don't worry.
When I see ppm, it's just my mind automatically switches to work and salts. And if I saw 2,500, my eyes would bug out of my head.
Be like, oh, I got to cut this.
Right.
It's too expensive to pour down the drain and start over. We got to cut this somehow, some way.
Yep.
Yeah, you're probably gonna start seeing some lockout. I would start seeing some lockout if my EC was that high for sure. Jordan White, I don't know if we got time for one more question. Jordan White's wondering about you tent growers. I'll probably throw this one down to like Abolish Your Eagle. About how do you manage light when you have a veg tent and a bloom tent going? So you got different light cycles.
Well, they're already separated by a physical wall being a tent. It's just a matter of if you got them ducked together of having the right angle so you don't have light going through either one if they're on the wrong cycle.
What about the light intakes at the bottom, the square lights, or the?
I personally don't leave those squares open. You're talking about the ones that are Velcroed on the bottom?
Yeah.
I don't leave those open. I do my intakes from the top and outtake. That being said, though, it's coming and being the tube that's the intake is down towards the bottom. It's not like it's sitting up at the top.
Oh, it makes sense. I know that there's round tubes at the bottom as well. I've never ran them in the same room, so I always have those flaps open. I've never had to worry about that part.
I guess that's the beauty of having tents is you can do two in the same room. I've never had problems with having a veg tent, a flower tent in the same room. You know, there's the good tent shouldn't like leak for one, and that's kind of the purpose of tents is, you know, be able to separate and do multi-purpose rooms. In my opinion, you know, I don't think that, you know, having a veg tent and a flower tent should matter at all. You should be fine.
Well, I hope that helps. And with that, we've done another week, 420 special episode of Fregrowli. We dabbed a lot. Fregrowli wouldn't even do any more torch dabs with me. I'm personally offended. With that, we'll go around and everyone can sign off. Red, you're first.
I did a torch dab. I'm happy about it. I did a couple that Tropicana cookies stuff is really good. I got that back in like January. I'm not even sure when they processed it. It was Tropicana cookies rosin by Can of Kitten. I'm ripped off of it too. Can of Kitten and my no-till guy. Cheers. Fregrowli, thank you so much for jumping on. Cheers. Happy 420, everybody. Chat. Happy 420 panel. Love all you guys. Rock and roll. Shout out to the Frugal Force. Shout out to the Late Sesh. Shout out to all my homies over at New Standard. And can't wait to see what Eagles show is going to bring us with a marathon of 420 goodness. So rock and roll, everybody. Peace out.
Thank you, Red. Spartan, you're up, man.
Hey, guys. Another good week. Love hanging out with you like I always did. It was awesome hanging with Fregrowli, man. Awesome for you to come and talk. I wasn't even expecting. I just jumped in, saw you there. It's like, wow, sweet. Another beard. That's what we need on this panel.
It's a me.
We should start calling him Triple F, fan favorite Fregrowli.
There you go, Triple F.
I love a good
It's
alliteration.
the sunglasses.
And I don't want to forget about chat because that's the best part, and that's why we're all here. And so shout out to you guys in chat, blowing up right now. And I guess I'll see you guys all next week.
Dude, the show has served its purpose, man. We have had a hell of a fucking group tonight, and we've had so many people in chat. We still have 120 some people still in chat. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Canna Kate, you are up next.
Thank everybody for being here. Sorry I've been kind of a lump tonight. I did so much shit outside. I'm amazed I'm awake still. So I appreciate all of you for hanging out. And I just have to say, Fregrowli, I'm super disappointed that a bunny hasn't popped out from behind your chair yet. I'm like waiting for it. It's like, I don't know if it's like the fucking shape of it behind you or the color or what, but like, dude, every time I'm scrolling and I see one of your videos up, I'm like, fucking rabbit.
It's like the neck thing, I think. But I did get ducks as well.
How many ducks did you get?
Just 2. I've got a little pound knot back. I'm excited, but they're tiny.
Yeah.
They're
How
the
many
size of
chicks
the
did
little
you
chicks.
get?
4 a year is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also, if anybody doesn't know, Fregrowli and I both got chickens this week, so that
Hell
was
yeah!
super
Congratulations
fun.
on the addition.
Yeah, they're real cute, and it's been like a ton of, like things to do. So, because you constantly have to clean like wood chips out of their water and food because they're retarded and kick them in there like it's their job.
Constantly. I will say, your water, just put it up on like even just an old Tupperware dish. It helps it keep it out of the wood chips, and they'll be tall enough to go in there, and drink. That helps make it last longer than about 2 hours.
Yeah, so I put it up on like a plate a little bit, and it was slightly off center or whatever with like the divot in the bottom. So they would like hop up on the one side, then it would slip. So now I'm gonna get something that's a little bit bigger. But if it's like big enough that they can hop up on that too, then they just hop up there and then shit in it. So it's like trying to help you out, birds. But they've been super fun, and it's been a cool experience.
Yeah, chickens are probably the filthiest animals I've ever had to deal with. But what we did on the farm was this is obviously when they're older, but the real easy solution is just get an old tire, and then you put your 5-gallon bucket, you fill that with water, and you put that in the hole of the tire. Then they jump up on the tire and they can get their water, and that'll last them throughout the whole day until you go the next day.
That's a good idea. I'm also really excited though to start doing some like chicken shit fertilizers because I have all these like organic gardening books and shit. So I now have these like giant ass garden beds in my yard. So
I've got a compost pile right now. It's been going for about 6 months from the last generation, but I'm gonna need one of you guys to teach me what the hell to do with it.
Somebody will know.
That's pretty much all nitrogen. So you need a lot of brown material, like a lot of leaves. That's probably available to you right now.
Old branches from when you've trimmed, if you've kept any of those that you're brown.
So at least double that pile with leaves and fucking mix it up good, and it should start composting.
Can you do teas with it?
I wouldn't. I don't even make teas for anything else, so I just don't trust it because I don't have a microscope, so I can't test to see what the fuck I made, if I made a good tea or a bad tea. So I'm not gonna. I used to, but I didn't see a huge difference. So I was like, I'm just gonna stop just winging it and just stop because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So that's where I'm at with that.
I like that about you, Spartan. Anyway, we shall proceed. Eagle, tell us about your marathon coming up and tell us where we can find it.
You can find it over on my channel on Eagle Gardens on YouTube. It's going to be a good day, good night. I've got a lot of people coming, a lot of good people like yourselves. The panel will be here. Frugal Force will be there. I've got a lot of cool YouTubers coming through. Hoping to spread some good vibes throughout the community and hopefully do something good for some good people. Please check that out. Sorry, I such a, like Kate says, a lump tonight, but I guess I was a little bit slow on that mic button, and conversation was so tight I kind of dipped out and did a little bit of water and then listened while the show was going on because I got a full day tomorrow talking to everybody. Sorry about that, but yeah. Please check out the show. Thank you guys for having me on, and looking forward to seeing you guys over there in about a half hour.
Look for him there. Eagle Gardens.
I got a question for Eagle. Are you still gonna stick with the no energy drinks or for this next 24 hours?
Cheers, GML. See you in the chat, brother.
I have absolutely and honestly have not had an energy drink since that night. And
Eagle,
I'm
that's
not
awesome
going to
news,
do
man.
them tonight. I've been a little bit harder. I'll be doing the French press coffee. It takes me a little bit further than the drip coffee. So I'll be drinking French press all night and into the day tomorrow. I got some French Starbucks. My daughter works at Starbucks, so I got some nice Starbucks coffee for the press, ready to roll. So that'll be my method of staying up.
Turbocharged Eagle.
Dude, congratulations, man. It's a discipline, changing your lifestyle. So commend you on that.
Well, it was a pretty inspiring story, and I seen a lot of the traits what you were saying in myself, and I thought, man, if I can cut that shit out now, now's the time. So I thank you for helping, sharing your story and helping me give that shit up, really.
Well, shit, man. Thanks for being here for me to chat away to, talk to. So I'm happy, man. Happy to have those conversations with you. I'm really glad that you giving it a shot. Hope you feel better. It's awesome.
I like that you let us crash your show at any time. Like, it's like a tag team affair. Fregrowli held down the first part of it. He had to breeze out, tagged in, and it's a great evening sesh. So you're really, really doing us a service, and there's a lot of people that are enjoying your work right now, Eagle. Shout out.
Yeah, especially those.
No, I guess I was gonna say this earlier, and I guess now's a good time. Kind of pinching my time eating before this 11:30, but I'd rather say this now. This is for charity, I guess. This whole marathon was for charity. I tried my best all week long to line some stuff up, and I guess in the beginning, what is charity really? It's doing something nice selfishly for somebody else. And first of all, a lot of great people have helped me with that and kind of gave me some charity and donating their time and helping me get this thing going and donating their time to me to do this tomorrow for a good cause. So I thank you all for your charity, giving your time for tomorrow. Secondly, I tried like hell to find a charity that we could all just donate to, and because I never wanted to touch any kind of cash. I wanted it just to be for a good cause. Unfortunately, with this virus stuff, I couldn't find one charity that was open and willing to talk. So I guess in lieu of finding, I know I've got a charity that I'm going to announce at the beginning of my hour. If people want to donate to that, that's well. In lieu of having one charity to donate and be able to tally up our stuff, which to me, I don't necessarily need a number to feel better about myself. More or less, I'm more asking people to, the guests that come on, if they've got a charity that's true and near to their heart, to go ahead and announce that and ask people to donate to that. Moreover, if they don't want to donate to somebody that comes on in their charity or the one I'm kind of suggesting, then I suggest that let's show the community not just our bags but our hearts on this 420. And charity doesn't have to be necessarily pulling out your wallet. If it also can be just helping out a friend or somebody in your community, and that's where it should really start anyway. So rather than dishing out your wallets and handing out some dollars, look around and try to help somebody out first and foremost. Like I said, it doesn't have to be dollars. If you're in a situation where everybody else around you is in a good spot and you want to donate some money to a cause, that's fine. But in the end, I guess this whole charity thing is more or less on the honor system and asking you to do something right for somebody instead of just a one name cause.
Still
So
a super cool thing.
Everybody that's involved, everybody that's taking part in this, I thank you all for tuning in and helping out in advance. And again, please do something nice for somebody.
And you're going to be going live at 11:30 tonight.
Yes, sir.
He's using all of his eating time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I sure am. So I'm going to jump off, guys, and I love you all, and I hope to see you guys later. And I'm going to grab something, and I'll see you at 11:30.
Thank you so much, man. Fregrowli, do you have anything you'd like to say before we sign out of here? Oh, you're muted.
I'm here.
I do it too. It's okay.
That's the first time I've done it today. I think. I guess we'll never know. But I just want to thank you guys for inviting me again to the show. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you guys. I love doing this. I love chatting shop and seeing you guys' lovely faces and beautiful voices and all the the Groskies out there in chat. And I will be on Eagles live stream tomorrow. I think 11:30 Eastern time. I'm going to be doing my own at about 4 o'clock so we can celebrate 420 together. And Sequence, I would never want to offend you. I just want you to know that.
I saw you were heating that up.
We're rubbing off on him. We got him making mistakes and not,
appreciate
cueing
that.
the mics.
That's probably why it was muted too, is because he was using his torch.
It was. I was trying to be courteous, but came to bite me in the ass.
It always does. Skilbo, is there anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
I want to say that it's been a great night. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and just yuck it up with everybody and to be able to share. There's so many different people in chat that I would like to say thank you for. I just want everybody to have a safe 420. I'm Skilbo1 on Instagram, Skilbo17 on here. Catch me at 4 o'clock in the morning over on Eagles Talking Shit. We'll ring in the first 420 of the day. Love everybody.
Awesome. I'll be on there too. I'm not sure what time exactly. I have to work tomorrow, but we'll figure it out. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate your support. Thank you, Fregrowli, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you. Have a good night, guys.